God, I missed the North Country, no power lines, no dead end streets. Mother Nature waits for
everybody,
me.
it's Seeley Dave and Cowboy, your Hyperborean reporters, with another update on Life Above 8. Today I'm going to give you a little preview of some of the world just came across for Cowboy, of some of the conditions that you'll find on next weekend's Tour de Chequamegon. Right now we're on Rock Lake Road. This is pretty typical of the gravel that we'll be on. There are sections that are rougher than this, for sure. There's some 2-track and a little bit of ATV trail that's fairly rough. Even some of the larger gravel roads like this have got some rough spots on them. Right now I'm going over a little washboard. Front out, buddy. Somebody was all ready for a ride this morning. This is Camp 4 Lake. It's a gorgeous little section of the trail that we're on. Anyway, you'll find this is about as good as the conditions get for gravel. So I'm on my Milwaukee 29er hardtail with a 120mm front suspension fork. This is probably the bike that I'll bring on this ride. You certainly don't need a mountain bike. You can definitely get by with just a gravel bike or a cross bike, something like that. But those bikes will definitely be faster. A gravel or cross bike would be faster than a 29er, I think. I'm getting older and I'm not very fast anymore anyway, so I lean towards comfort. Typically when I reach into my quiver of bikes for whatever ride I'm doing, I err on the comfort side more than the speed side, so I'll probably be on this. But you can see these gravel roads are pretty nice. Like I said, there are sections that have baby head rocks and ruts and more washboard, so you'll definitely have some of that. You want to keep control going downhill. If you're out here riding, if you're on a bike like this or even a full suspension bike, you can bomb every downhill. But if you're on a gravel bike and you're not real experienced with the roads, I suggest people take it a little bit easier to just in case there's a rut or a exposed rock or something like that that you don't expect coming. See, now we're going up. That's what this trip is kind of all about. It's a lot of rollers. Steep little punchy climbs like this one, and followed by a nice little downhill. Keeps things interesting, but it's also challenging. Not too far from here, I chose this section to give you a preview of, because not too far from here we'll be turning into the brief section of CAMBA Singletrack that we use on this route. I include this, it's a green level, it's really easy to ride. People have ridden it every year on anything from 1985 Miata touring bikes to fat bikes, so you'll be able to handle it no matter what. And if there's any sections that you feel uncomfortable with, just hop off and walk for 100 yards or something. No shame in that. We'd definitely rather have you be happy and safe rather than risking injury if you're uncomfortable riding any of this. It's generally the case with all of this. Just try to ride within your ability. Anytime you think the conditions that you're riding are above your ability, just hop off and hike a bike for a little bit. Bike packing's always got most bike packing has some element of hike a bike involved. So as I said, up ahead we'll be turning towards the CAMBA Singletrack Glacier Trail, if you want to look it up. There's some active logging around there. there's active logging throughout the forest, but that's a section that they're currently logging and hauling out of, so we'll want to be cautious of that. And we're going to turn onto the logging road and ride that. There's some new sections of, brand new as of this week, sections of CAMBA Singletrack that they've upgraded to something more flowy. Oh, the Cowboy's nose picked something up. So that should be fun. I rode by while they were just finishing it up earlier this week, or last week, sorry, and it looked really good. So I wanted to go out and check that out, give you a preview of that. Oh, as I was saying about the, all these roads are open roads, these forest roads, and bikes are permitted, but you're also going to find ATVs and people just using the roads to get to their cabins or whatever, and logging trucks. What I tend to do if vehicles are, if I'm sharing the road, a gravel road even with vehicles, is I tend to just pull over, particularly if it's a logging truck or a bunch of ATVs. It's just easier to let them feel safe passing if I pull over. You don't have to do that. A lot of people don't up here, but I like to, just as a courtesy to the other users. I find generally that most other motorized users here are very courteous. The ATV riders in particular have a system where they tell you how many more ATVs are in a line. They often ride in groups together, so if there's 3 more left, each rider will go 3, 2, 1, and the final rider just holds up a closed fist. That means they're the last one. I don't think you'll need to do any of that. If I'm alone, I typically hold up a closed fist just to let them know I'm alone. But since there's a big group of us, you don't have to worry about that. But if you see those symbols, that's what they're telling you. I'm going to shut this off for a little bit, and then we will turn it back on just before we turn into the logging road and Glacier Trail. So one other thing to keep in mind when you're out here riding on the gravel roads are the poor sight lines. As you can see, all the roads are hilly, curvy. You can't see very far ahead of you. So you have to keep your ears open, listening for the sound of motor vehicles. I tend to stay to the right. I will occasionally go far to the left, so I could pull over off to the left quickly if the line is that much better. But going over hills and around corners, if you come around the corner or over a hill, you're on the wrong side of the road. An ATV or a motor vehicle of some other kind is not going to expect you there, and they're going to have to take quick evasive maneuvers, braking or turning to avoid hitting you. So I request that everybody sort of stay to the right, and as I said, keep your ears open, listening for the sound of motor vehicles coming up ahead of you or behind you. Just up ahead here, shouldn't be very far, we should be turning onto the logging road and then to Glacier Trail. Right after that, we're going to turn by a tree that's got some ribbons around it. You'll see like a PVC pipe box that the loggers use to get their hauling slips when they're hauling loads out. So it's fairly easy to see. You could hop right onto Glacier Trail, onto the CAMBA Trail, but our route is actually going to take you down the logging road just a little bit, skip a little bit of that single track, and then jump back in. So right around this bend here, oh wait, or maybe it's one more hill. We should see our tree. I gotta slow down a little bit for Cowboy. We already went for a ride this morning, so he's a little pooped. He's only just getting back into his riding form. He doesn't run much in the summer with me on bikes. It's a little too warm for him now that he's, 7, 8 years old. So it's just starting to get cool enough though, in the mornings particularly, that I can take him out on a ride. So his pad's got to get worn in a little bit yet and get some more calluses built up, and he's got to get in a little better shape. Hey, so do I. Who doesn't? So the single track section that we're about to hit is one of the only sections that I'd say, unless you're following someone with a GPS on, you should kind of be watching yours, or at least listening to the cues. You should have the volume turned up so that you can hear the cues. Because I did make custom cues for the route that tell you when to turn and which direction to go when you see the CAMBA signs. There are two styles of CAMBA signs. There's just a small sign, and there's a larger sign they call a birdhouse sign that usually has a little map in it, in addition to the trail junction. And CAMBA has different sections in Chequamegon area, and those are N13, N14, N15, and the cable area, and that's C1, C2, C3. The Seeley area, that's S3, S4, S5. Those are the sorts of signs that CAMBA uses to mark their trails. They also use USNG emergency signs, so I'll send out an email about that too, specifically. But it'd be ideal if people would download the free USNG Me. USNG Me is the app. It's free, and it works without cell service. And what that allows you to do is, if you do get hurt or have a mechanical and need help, you can ask one of our ride leaders with the radio, if you don't have cell service, to call, and they'll tell your USNG location. It's going to be XT15 something or other, a series of numbers and letters, and that way we'll be able to find you. You can also, of course, say I'm at mile 35 on the course, and that will also help us find you. But CAMBA and the rest of Sawyer County, Bayfield County are starting to use the USNG emergency signs. They're kind of a universal system that lots of trail communities are adopting. All right, I just heard my ride with GPS cue tell me in a quarter mile we're going to turn right. Come on, buddy. We're not going to go too far down the trail because Cowboy's obviously going a little slow today, this afternoon. Come on, buddy. Come on up. Come on, buddy. So yeah, so as I said, when you're riding through there, there's just a number of intersections where it's kind of hard to tell what direction you're going. The easiest way to navigate it is by having your GPS on display on your handlebars, whether it's your phone or a GPS head unit of some kind, and then the other way is to just listen to the cues, the verbal cues as well. All right, I'm going to shut this off. Cowboy and I climb this hill slowly. I'll give him a little break going up the hill, give myself a little break, and then we'll turn back on video when we're approaching our turn. All right, We're back. We're going down this slight little hill here, and then we're going to hang a right real at the bottom here. Here's our turn. You can see the CAMBA trail, the mountain bike trail. We're going to skip that first part. You can hop on that if you really like the single track. It'll connect back up to our route. And then you can see the tree with the hauling slips in it and the ribbons. We're going to hang it right here, go down this logging trail to where it intersects with Glacier Trail. Right, buddy?
In a quarter mile, turn left.
So we'll go a quarter mile down. That's what my verbal cue just said. We'll ride a quarter mile down this logging road where it crosses Glacier Trail, and then we'll hop left onto Glacier. Good, buddy. Cooling your paws off. Cooling your paws off there. So you can see this is totally rideable on a 35 millimeter tire, or 33 millimeter tire, or 40 millimeter tire, whatever you've got on your touring bike or your gravel bike, your cross bike. It's very doable. Of course, if we do get a bunch of rain, it might rain, you never know. This can become muddy and slick, which will make our route, any sections of this sort of 2-track or single track, a little bit more slippery. I believe there's our turn. Yep, here's our turn. Our turn at N11. Let's just take a look. I have GPS app open here. Nope, not quite yet. We turn. I should put a cue there. Put a cue to go past that. I thought I had one in.
Turn left onto CAMBA Glacier MTB Trail.
Here we go. Ha! Cowboy's reasonably good with his G's and his haws. For the left and right for dog sledders, so we do Skajor with them too, so we use those same terms. It's pretty good. So this you can see is pretty easy single track. I've ridden this plenty of times on my gravel bike with 40 millimeter tires. If it is wet, the roots, and then all right here you can see we are starting the new section of flow trail. To the left is the old route, and they've sort of covered that up. They're trying to stop people from going that old way on that old 2-track there. And right up ahead we've got some brand new ribbon of tasty flow trail. So let's check this out. We are at N12. That's where we will, it used to say go left, now we go straight to stay on the flow. Let's go with the flow, buddy. Nice easy berm turns. Wide no rocks, a very smooth tread. It's not super compacted yet. I'm sure they ran the compactor over it, but maybe we get a little bit of rain and a little bit more riding on it. Another nice berm, into another berm, pretty sweet. Got to give a big shout out to the CAMBA trail crew for this one. Very nice. Buy you guys a beer at Rivers on a Thursday if I see ya.
In 1 mile, continue straight.
Now I think we're crossing over our old trail. Yep, the old trail used to go up that hill. We're going to take a more sustainable line and funner line back to the top of that hill, and then we'll call it a day here. You know, nurse Cowboy back to the truck. Here we go. Yup. Super cool. All right. There we have it. Hold up, cow. Hold up, buddy. So there we have it. That now we hit our the remainder of the old school section that has always been on the route, and that goes by Patsy Lake. Very pretty, and it pops out right on Lost Land Lake Road. So this is Seeley Dave and Cowboy signing out. Maybe we'll give you another video update or send out a couple more emails before our ride. So looking forward to seeing everybody at the Tour de Chequamegon. If you're coming up this weekend, it's the Chequamegon Mountain Bike Festival. Of course, you and 2,800 of your friends will be racing that historic race. Started right up here in Cable, Wisconsin. Hope to see you up here soon. If you're coming up next weekend and you run into Seeley Dave, say hi, or Cowboy. Seeley Dave and Cowboy signing out.
North Country, no power lines, no dead end streets.